What's happening, everybody? John Hendrix here with Saints News Network alongside Ross Jackson, the Ross Jackson. Want to talk to you a little bit about Saints OTAs. We got to see a first day on Tuesday. Ross, first and foremost, how you doing this morning? Got the coffee flowing, right? Everything good?
Yep. Always ready. Always ready.
Yes, sir.
Stay ready. Always in reaching distance.
Yeah, I'm right there too. So we talked about, look, we were at rookie camp and obviously at OTAs on Tuesday. Just kind of overall first impressions, maybe paint a picture for those who don't go or don't understand maybe what that's all about. What was yesterday kind of like for us?
Yeah, so we show up, we're hanging around in the media room, then we eventually make our way over to the practice fields. Once we get out there, usually we show up during stretch. That's what was happening yesterday. We showed up and kind of the offense and defense are over on the far side of the field, getting their stretches in. Then usually what happens and what happened for us yesterday is that from there they break off with the two practice fields. You get defense on one side, offense on the other. Allows them to get through some of the individual drills, work with their position groups and all that before eventually coming together and kind of doing these on and off periods of some special teams work, as well as either 7-on-7 drills or full team drills. So we really got, John, like a full look at, it kind of felt like being at training camp. I was a little bit surprised. Like we were out there for team drills, getting to see the whole thing. So we got to see quite a bit of it before, of course, going then into, our interviews and conversations with Dennis Allen and Derek Carr, Foster Moreau, and of course, locker room. So it was great to kind of get the holistic view of what the Saints were doing their very first day back out there on the practice field together.
Absolutely. And so OTAs, those are strictly voluntary. We talked to Dennis Allen last week at the Golf Classic. He said that wasn't going to be 100% attendance there, but look, so guys like DeMario, even though he's at the facility, he's been doing the workouts and stuff. DeMario Davis wasn't there. Taysom Hill wasn't there. They were missing a lot of their chunks of offensive line. Just throw it up, toss up. Is it a big deal or is it not a big deal?
Yeah, I think when you look at the list of players that weren't there and who it includes, I don't think it's that big of a deal. I mean, you had some key defensive leaders that were out there yesterday, guys like or on Tuesday, Cameron Jordan and Tyrann Mathieu. Of course, you had Derek Carr out there. That's a huge piece for this team. But to go out there and have 90% of your player attendance is pretty remarkable when it comes to these OTAs. So the list of players that wasn't there included guys like Ryan Ramczyk, James Hurst, and Andrus Peat, for instance, who have all kind of battled injury throughout their 2022 season. Not seeing them out there at OTAs, not a surprise. Alvin Kamara plays a position where one cut the wrong way can cost you the rest of your career as a running back. I'm not worried about him not being out there and putting his body at risk as well during OTAs. So I'm not super concerned about the guys that weren't out there. And as you mentioned, DeMario Davis wasn't out on the field, but he was at the facility, and he has been at the facility. You can see the photos that the Saints have posted on their social media pages. That could be true for a lot of these guys that just simply weren't out there when we were out there.
Yeah, and we only get one day every week, right, for the next 3 weeks. So it's important to remember the Saints are still practicing on Wednesday and Thursday. So there's the chance that a lot of these players are there. There could be injuries that they're coming back from. I mean, it was encouraging to see guys like Cesar Ruiz and Trevor Penning just be out on the field. I mean, that's great in their recovery process. One thing that probably, and I know people kind of get uppity about attendance, all this stuff. One thing that's probably not ideal is Nick Saldiveri. He was out with a calf injury, but is expected to be at training camp. Those types of things are going to happen. But, overall, Foster Moreau being there, I think that's probably one of the biggest storylines that we had. I mean, this guy, just the way he talked about it gives me kind of like chills just talking about him. And, look, he downplayed the situation, saying, look, I'm not a kid in a hospital that's battling cancer. Just kind of all these things, said it didn't affect his quality of life. But still, Hodgkin's lymphoma stage 2, taking the treatments he did, just being able to be out on the field and catching passes from Derek Carr. I mean, talk about that significance.
Yeah, I mean, that's wild. I mean, we were 2 months and a couple of days removed from the diagnosis. I think you published the story on Saints News Network on March 22nd. We were out there on May 23rd watching him run routes and catch passes. And I think that's important, John, right? That like he wasn't just there and present. He was there participating, catching passes, running routes, doing the whole thing. And and I still think, I know that he mentioned, as you highlighted, that it didn't impact his quality of life, but he also said, like, this is a life sentence for him. And for anybody that has ever been in any situation like that, to understand and know that this is something you're going to be battling, that does still have a little bit of an impact on your quality of life, the mental side in particular. So to see sort of the fortitude, and of course to know that there's an important support system around him here in the city of New Orleans, where he's from, went to Jesuit high school, 15 minutes away from the Saints training facility. He's got Derek Carr and his family there. I mean, just absolutely remarkable, and such a cool, I don't want to say a cool story, because obviously it has, its downside to it all as well. But I mean, it's just one of those feel good stories when you get to the point where you're seeing him out on the field doing what he was doing on Tuesday.
Yeah, truly remarkable. And, just seeing him and Juwan Johnson just kind of meshing and just coming in here and such. I mean, that's a good thing, seeing the 7-on-7 periods and stuff. And of course, it's just, there's no contact in OTAs or anything like that. It's not like they're totally going in at it, but it is good to see some of the things. And we did see a lot of good things on offensive side. Talk a little bit about Derek Carr, maybe some of your top takeaways from OTAs yesterday.
Well, I'm sure you'll agree with me here, John, but I'm going to pose this as a question. Do you find that Derek Carr turned out to be, because this is really our first time seeing him with the entire unit, off veterans, rookies, everybody. Did he turn out to be the leader that he was billed to be to you in that practice? Because he certainly did to me.
I think so. And I think it even goes a step beyond, especially what he said in the press conference. Just a couple of things to hit home that he talked about. The fact that he's watched Drew Brees' tape. He's watched tape on all the guys he's playing with, and he's only focused on the positives, right? He's only focused on, hey, I saw you run the route like this. I want you to run the route like this. And talking about OTAs, this is the part where you take chances. You make mistakes, all these types of things, knowing where a certain receiver, and he's like, man, the first step on Rashid Shaheed or Chris Olave, this is pretty remarkable to see. And so, look, I think that's part of it, is just seeing the calm demeanor that he brings, the presence that he brings. I mean, he was perfect in his passes and 7-on-7 and in team. So again, that's always a good thing. And again, you make of it what you will. It was just good to see him hit the Juwan Johnson up the seam for a big play.
Oh, it's so nice to see the seam route back.
Oh my gosh,
so nice to see the seam route back.
He just makes me smile, because we've had to sit through 2 years of I don't want to say lethargic offense, but just hard to watch offense when the potential's there, right? And look, it's hard to, far from being a refined product, and of course it's going to be interesting when things are going. And Derek even joked, it's like, look, I'm throwing to the guys in the right helmets this time, as opposed to last year, kind of telling himself throwing a pick and all that type of stuff. But look, it's good to see as advertised. And again, it's not hard to see what the Saints saw in this guy. And look, the situation in Vegas with the Raiders, I mean, it's not really a common, it's not a mystery. A lot of people have talked about how bad that team is. And again, we're not going to downplay, disrespect them or anything like that, but breath of fresh air, all those types of things. And he's coming in here and being able to do what he's able to do, and win football games, to be in a position. And I just like what he talked about with Pete Carmichael, even saying, hey, I'm waiting for the play to be called in my helmet. And then he's like, oh, wait, Pete wants me to come up and get it from him. Right. Yeah. It's just like, I think he's finding his niche, and his Google Translate, as he talked about, is hitting on the right cylinder. So look, I'm excited about him as advertised, but it doesn't stop with him. I think Jameis Winston looks good. He doesn't have the brace on. That's a big thing for him.
Yeah, that was great.
I was impressed with Jake Haener at rookie camp, but go ahead. Your thoughts on him too.
Yeah, I think Jake Haener was a really interesting one to watch. I mean, he put that beautiful back shoulder located pass to A.T. Perry, and A.T. Perry made a great catch. I mean, A.T. Perry was in a situation, and yes, let's give ourselves some credit for all the A.T. Perry love and work that we did over the course of the offseason. But I mean, to just watch him and the control that he has with his body, A.T. Perry, at 6'3", 6'4", 200 pounds, like, just remarkable. And his ability to be able to not take the ins or the outside shoulder and try to, reel it in over a shoulder or something like that. But the pass location was down and outside, didn't give the DB, Isaac Yiadom, an opportunity to make a play on it at all. Instead, it was down and outside, which allowed A.T. Perry to be able to contort, turn, and then stay in bounds while making the catch. It was great. And to give Isaac some credit too, he came back 2 plays later on a crossing route and broke up the pass between Jake Haener and A.T. Perry. I don't want to focus on the negatives here. I'm trying to keep a little Derek Carr about me and focusing on the positives. But you love seeing all that. And then, to your point about Jameis Winston, just great to see him out there without the knee brace on. And you can hear him on the opposite side of the field cheering everybody on. He was cheering on Will Lutz. He was cheering on Chris Olave, everybody when he was on the sideline. So you can really see the culture beginning to build in throughout these practices, which is always so important to the Saints.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up Will Lutz, because something I think underrated. He didn't miss a kick yesterday, and they were working on different things with the field goal units, extra point situation, but he didn't miss a single kick, and he had 13 tries, and it was about pretty much from extra point to the mid to high 40 range. Of course, we're not totally on the yardage, but good to see him bounce back. He's going to have some competition this season, it looks like, but returning to form is probably one of the best things you could hear for sure. And also, when talk about Chris Olave, that play. Now Carr's pass wasn't the best pass. It kind of got away from him, but hung up there a bit. Olave's deep, close to the end zone, and Marcus May's right there. I thought May was going to make the play, but Olave made the better play. Maybe talk about that one.
Well, it was such a big focus for Chris Olave going into the offseason. He wanted to bulk up. I know you and I are both kind of pursuing that information, but he wanted to bulk up. He wanted to be better in contested catch situations. According to Pro Football Focus, he had 24 contested catch opportunities his rookie season in 2022. He walked away with only 8 of those catches, 33%. So you can see where it is that he wanted to, or why it is that he wanted to improve there, because he had some opportunities last year, but wasn't able to make all of them. But he was able to make some, and he made some big ones. That catch against the Seattle Seahawks that led to his concussion and his injury that kept him out for a game was a contested catch situation. So you can see the prowess there. And even coming into the NFL, he was one of the top contested catch guys behind just Drake London in his class. And so to be able to see him go up there over a long-time veteran and ball-hawking guy like Marcus May. Marcus May knows how to make plays at the catch point, and Chris Olave just outperformed in that moment. And that's the other thing I think that does is that builds trust for Derek Carr, who is already so impressed by guys like Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed. But to see him be able to go up there, sky up, and make kind of the jump ball, 50-50 ball play like that, that's going to breed a lot more of those opportunities for Chris Olave and a lot more trust in terms of Derek Carr wanting to know where 12 is on the field.
Absolutely. And look, I'm excited to see how this all comes together. And everybody's got to remember, no Michael Thomas, right? James Washington was in there, still in the mix. Brian Edwards is in the mix. You got guys like Malik Flowers, Shaquan Davis. I think this is the deepest the Saints have ever been at wide receiver. Just almost period. And I'm excited about it, the potential this group has. And you think about it, and no disrespect to where they've been in the past couple of years, but to be in a position where you have, I don't say too much talent, and then also maybe still being in a mix for Hunter Renfrow. I mean, this is kind of crazy that, look, we said it, and I know I reported around, Senior Bowl and especially at the Combine, that Saints were not going to put all their eggs in one basket, especially with this Michael Thomas situation. I think even if MT doesn't return to form, I think this receiver group will be okay, especially with the additions of Foster Moreau. What about you?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I think even the addition of Hunter Renfrow, that sort of rumor spiking back up with the June 1st contract line here on the way, would still be a good opportunity for New Orleans, because they don't really have that slot specialist on their roster, do they? Like that would be the big thing I think Hunter Renfrow could add for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, remains to be seen. A lot of moving parts and pieces. We expect the Saints obviously to get some more talent too, whether it's the defensive line, maybe linebacker, some things, some DeMarco Jackson love. I mean, no Demario Davis. He's working alongside Pete Werner. Again, him, Nephi Sewell, these are guys that you want to kind of know about right now, because those are the guys we're going to watch more as we get to training camp for sure.
Yeah,
and Smoke Monday. Smoke Monday was out there. You got to get the Smoke Monday.
Yeah, right? we were right there. We were right there. We got to make sure we get them. But it was great. I mean, it's great to see those guys get back out on the field and everything too. Mm-hmm. And I think seeing DeMarco Jackson in so early in the rotation, because if we think about it, Demario Davis was the only linebacker that wasn't present ahead of guys like Pete Werner, and then you kind of get to the DeMarco Jackson, Zach Bond, Nephi Sewell kind of range of those linebackers, as well as, of course, the UDFAs and Anthony Orji and Nick Anderson and others. And so to see, without Demario Davis on the field, that the top three linebackers were Pete Werner, DeMarco Jackson, and Zach Bond. There's some early trust there for DeMarco Jackson, who missed his entire rookie season with injury. So if he can prove that he can contribute in the run game, maybe even contribute a little bit more as a pass rusher, the way that Caden Ellis did, there could be a role carved out for him as a sub package guy.
Yeah, and look, it's just one day of OTAs that we've got to see. We've got to see rookie minicamp. One step closer to football returning. I think that's the main thing. We've talked a lot about OTAs. Check out Saints.media for a lot more. We could go on for probably a good hour at least, but we're not going to do that today. We're going to try to be a little bit disciplined, but Saints.media or si.com/NFL/Saints to catch up more. We've got way more coming. Check out our observations. Check out Ross's story on Foster Moreau. He's also working on some cool pieces. I'm working on some Cody Burns stuff right now. I got to talk with him after practice. Plenty more to break down for this. Ross Jackson, how can everybody in the internet world, I don't know, what would you call that? The interwebs? I'd say the interwebs. Yeah, they got the tag over there. I don't know. I can't point to it right, but because of the StreamYard. But Ross Jackson Nola on Twitter. But how can they keep up with all your other work?
Yeah, of course. Everything you can find in terms of the written work at Saints.media or si.com/NFL/Saints. And of course, the Locked On Saints podcast available on YouTube, wherever you get your podcast. Just search Locked On Saints and any of those platforms, and it'll be there ready for you.
Does a fantastic job. Happy to have him on the Saints News Network crew. So, and of course, you can follow me at John J. Hendrix. It's Hendrix, just like Jimmy, not like the gin. That's kind of my new tagline I'm using now. So it fits. If you don't get the reference, maybe do some homework. Do some homework and stuff. Plenty more coming. We appreciate the support and tuning in. Guys, thanks so much. Have a good one. Be blessed.